Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's Wednesday to the Art of Inspired Selling. My name is Catherine Nunez, and I'm the host of the show where I look for B2B solopreneurs that aren't just surviving, but they're thriving. And I'm so happy to say that we're in episode 63 this year. We have a show every week, I think, for the rest of the year, maybe not on Christmas. It's just been so fabulous. And I'm so grateful for all the guests that have come on this show. Next week, I'll have a guest, and next week I'll be coming live from Paris. As long as I can find internet, I will bring that live to you guys from some fabulous location. But today, on the Art of Inspired Selling, we are going to talk about how to apply storytelling in your business to build your business, to build your brand. And my guest today is Miss Melissa Tong, and I just had her bio, which I'm going to read out to everybody. Miss Tong is a three-time, not just one, but a three-time best-selling author on Amazon, award-winning storyteller and founder, CCO, of a creative marketing and content production company, Duck Punk Productions Incorporated. At Duck Punk, Ms. Tong works with businesses to shorten their sales cycle by way of storytelling. She has over 25 years of both in front of and behind the camera experience on storytelling, having crafted over 1,200 stories thus far. Her work includes branding and marketing, sales training, TV commercials, and branded content. Some of her previous clients are Fortune 500 companies such as Nissan, Verizon, Wells Fargo, Walmart, CBS, California Department of Health, just to name a few. I think you guys have heard of a few of those. Her clients have seen sales increase up to 400%. Awards she has won include Clio, Addy, Telly, Best of Business and Video Production for 9 consecutive years. Congrats. And dozens more. She firmly believes in this mantra, a quote from the great Pablo Picasso: "The meaning of life is to find your gift. The purpose of life is to give it away." Wow, that is really a nice inspirational message. I love that so much. So let me get my screen back up here and bring on Melissa.
Yay.
Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so
Fabulous.
much for
Welcome to the
having me.
Art of Inspired Selling. And you like art, so Pablo fits right in with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fabulous. So, where do you live? Where are you coming live from today?
I live in Los Angeles, so I'm live at my little studio here in Los Angeles, Southern California.
Nice, nice. How the weather is beautiful up there as it is here. Like, I can look out my window down in San Diego and not see a single cloud out there.
Yeah, it's really a nice day out today. Yeah.
Perfect. So let's talk shop a little bit. My camera's blurry here. There it is. There it is. So to come on the show, I love to bring people on that talk a little bit about their story, right? A little bit about being an entrepreneur and what it takes to be inspired. Now, the name is The Art of Inspired Selling. And for me, I'm a very soft spoken, very tenacious salesperson, but I'm not an in your face, get out of here kind of salesperson. So for me, selling is an art, right? And it's about inspiring people to make that next move, which would include you or your brand. So, what inspires you every day to get up and do what you do for brands?
A great question. What inspires me every day is knowing that I have this unique skill set that if I can just teach and inspire one more person that day to be
Yes.
able to take advantage of storytelling and apply it in the business to build a brand that I'm done with my purpose that day. So that's how I look at it.
I love that. Totally in line with me as well. And Facebook people, I just want to remind you, this is new with Restream. I want people to interact and ask questions as we go along. Um, Let me put it in the chat here. So you have to invite your audience to connect to Restream. So I am going to put that in the chat. I need to remember to put that in the show notes, you guys, so everybody can join us. I love having all my guests come on and talk with us. So today we are going to make sure to deliver to you, audience, the top 3 outcomes you'll receive is what is business storytelling? What does it look like? And how to apply it to build a brand. So where did you get started, Melissa? Were you working in corporate America, or did you automatically start in a boutique branding agency?
I actually did work in corporate America, and I did not like it at all. I was there for 4 years. And the reason why I didn't like it was not because of my job. I got started in broadcasting. I was a TV news anchor, reporter, and producer.
Nice.
And but that little satellite TV station got acquired a few times, and then eventually they got acquired by AT&T. So it became very corporate. And I loved that job, but
Mm-hmm.
I just couldn't really deal with the corporate structure. And kind of stopped having fun doing that. So I thought, well, if you cannot have fun doing what you love, then there's no fun anymore. So
Yeah.
I left. And also, I was curious to branch out into producing fiction. So after that, I jumped over to the fiction side, worked on a CBS show called Martial Law. That was a
Okay.
while ago, from 98 to 2000, and worked with one of my idols, grew up watching, Sammo Hung, and had a lot of fun on that show, learned a lot. And then when the show got canceled, I thought, well, you know what? It's time to try my own luck. So I tried without knowing what it means at all, by owning a business, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. I mean, we were talking about 2000. So there weren't a lot of people starting, their own businesses back then. Now it's a lot more. So I jumped in, got both feet wet and never looked back.
That's awesome. It is scary, right? You think, and I'm in a few entrepreneurial women's groups, but people talk about the launch, like it's going to happen. Like you're going to like turn a button on, and then all of a sudden the phone's going to ring and the website's going to get visitors and your bank account's going to fill up. And it's so interesting when you're in it, the word launch they really should change that word, right? Um, I don't know. We'll have to think. You're the branding person. We should come up with a new word for that. So and try. Try is a word. We do it. We just do it. It's just like people that say as a parent, what do? You just do it. The kids don't come with a book. Entrepreneurship does, right? You
Exactly.
just
You
you
just,
just do it.
yeah, you just do it. I mean, once you're in it, right? There is no other choice. I mean, the only other choice is jump back out and forget about it. And that wasn't really a choice for me. Once I'm in, okay, I'm in. I'm not jumping out. I'm not going back to corporate. I love being, I love working for myself. I
Hmm.
love the freedom. I love to be able to pick, the kind of clients I want to work with.
Yes.
So I mean, it comes, it comes with a lot of freedom, but at the same time, you got to work at it. It's not something that, oh, like you said, once it launches, then everything will just come. That doesn't work that way.
And sometimes clarity comes a little bit longer, farther in the game, because you're still gaining skill sets, you're still learning things, you're still finding yourself, you're still finding your own brand. Who you were in corporate might not look exactly, it won't look at all like what
I
you are.
guarantee you, it won't look like what it was. I mean, when I
I
first
was going to
started,
try to branch the two.
yeah,
I mean,
when
you're
I first
still
started,
yourself.
I had no idea that I would actually ended up doing what I do now. So yeah, not at all. And that's the beauty about it though, because as you grow as a person, um, everything sort of shifts, things shifts, and change. And if you're not afraid to embrace the change, then you may end up being, a better owner. You may end up being, in a better place to help more people. Yeah. So I would say, yeah, I personally, I welcome change. I think it's hard, but
Well, I think I do too, because I get bored easily. My girlfriends recently have said I have ADHD, so maybe that's why. But I'll just call it a boredom. I get bored really easily. I've been single my almost my whole life. Maybe that's a little bit of overboard on that boredom thing. But all right, so we're going to talk a little bit about branding. We're going to talk about storytelling for sure. I've had a couple of storytellers on the show before. There's a format that I like to use when we're talking about a storytelling, and it just really goes back to writing, where somebody has a problem, there's a solution that you want to provide. You might want to agitate your problem a little bit, and then you want to talk about why you're the person to solve that solution. But if you do that problem agitation solution writing framework, and you throw on top the story about why you're what adversities you went through, or what client testimonial you can share to show why you are the best solution besides a unique value prop. Storytelling could be so important. And so tell us how you start out working with, first of all, who's your favorite person to work with? Do you like working with solopreneurs, big businesses, small businesses, equal opportunity? Who's your target market?
uh, I actually have three different markets. And I still do TV commercials and branded content for Fortune 500. So that's one client segment. I
Mhm.
have a middle client segment, where I work with small and medium-sized businesses on how to truly use storytelling in every single communication channels that they have
Mhm.
to communicate with the audience on an emotional level to drive sales and keep them buying. And then my last track, which is entrepreneurs. I'm part of the coaching team at USC for the entrepreneurs program called Bridges program, and I work a lot with entrepreneurs there to coach them how to apply storytelling in the elevator pitch, right? Because if you're a startup or you're new, you constantly have to pitch yourself, and
Mhm.
even after you've been in business for, I mean, it doesn't really matter how long. I mean, I still have to constantly pitch my business, right?
Yes.
So I teach them how to apply storytelling in their elevator pitch to be more impactful. Teach them how to apply storytelling in their brand story to get more attraction, and then also just teach them basic storytelling principles and skill set, so they can apply it in the day-to-day to communicate better with the audience. So I have three different types of clients.
And you guys, there's people joining us. Make sure to put in the chat where you're coming from, so that we can give you a shout out and introduce you here to my lovely guest, Melissa. So let's talk. A lot of my clients tend to be newer entrepreneurs that are just bridging that 10,000 month, or they have some inconsistent months, and maybe they were in corporate America and they branched out and they brought some of those consulting clients with them, but now they want to branch out and separate because they see how much fun it is to be on their own, and they need all of those things, right? I work with them on mission, values, and personal branding. And in one of my questionnaires, say, do you have an elevator pitch? And a lot of times they don't.
No, right.
Yeah, so let's talk. Or they do, and then they change it, and then I get a text message and they overthink it and they want to add another word and change it again. And they really, so let's talk about how you would coach people through designing their elevator pitch or their story, or whatever framework it is. I volunteered to be the guinea pig today. So let's talk about creating that killer elevator pitch, creating the story. I printed out for Melissa today my story, which is a long story, and I honestly have trouble with that story because there's so many things I want to talk about, but I need to know what really resonates with my target market, what's going to connect with them emotionally about my story. They don't really want to know the crap, right? They want to know how I overcame or some sort of problem and came to today. So talk me through that.
Okay, so
adversity. I was saying overcome diversity. Whatever.
let's tackle the elevator pitch first, because I think that is the fundamental when it comes to business marketing 101, right? If you don't have a good elevator pitch, you're not going to go very far, because regardless whether it's a virtual online event or an in-person event, the first thing you listen to is, okay, I mean, people don't realize how much we're actually pitching on a daily basis, but we just don't realize it's actually pitching. I mean, really, everything we do. I mean, even talking to people we meet and acquiring new friends. In a way, we're pitching.
Yes.
We're not constantly, I mean, consciously pitching, but the way we talk, it is is pitching. So pitching is actually a big part in our lives. We just don't realize it. So
well, kids get it, right? Kids get it. The tenacity of children. They want something. They incessantly talk about it over and over and over and over and over again, right? So
well,
let's be tenacious business owners.
Okay, so before we go into the nuts and bolts, why don't you pitch it to me? I want to hear your pitch.
Oh no, you want to hear
I mean, some feedback. Yeah, absolutely. You're in the hot seat today, right?
So, I am in the hot seat. Woo, I got fire. So as I mentioned, I do a softer pitch, and I ask a lot of questions when I first talk to people. And so 3 of the things that I focus on when I talk to my clients is who do you serve, what business problem you solve, and what's the outcome of working with you. So if I was going to introduce myself, I would say that I'm a clarity and visibility strategist for entrepreneurs who no longer want to feel invisible and are ready to attract leads on autopilot. That would just be an I help statement.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
So you say that your audience, they are newer entrepreneurs, right? Most of them are have just started or haven't been in business for a long time, right?
I would say 3 years, and
okay,
so the pandemic out, so they're new.
Right. So do they actually know what that means when you say visibility?
I do, because I took that word from my intake form, where all of the clients, before they work with me, they write their goals and why they hired me and why they want to work with me. And I actually changed things recently because I wasn't using the words for the problem that they stated that they have. So they have stated that I need clarity around my messaging. I want to be more visible on LinkedIn and online. I'm tired of feeling invisible. And the other words that they were using is that they don't want to cold call, and they're not good salespeople. They don't want to pick up the phone. So they really want to build it, sort of that whole Field of Dreams. They want to build it so that people will come. So that's the reason I chose the words that I did, was really listening to what the problems were that my target market had entered on my intake form.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure that that they know what that is. Okay, so if you were to walk into a room of strangers, right, and you were given a 30-second time slot to pitch your business, would you pitch it differently, or you would still pitch the same way you did?
I'm not sure. I usually break it down even simpler than that. And I say I teach people how to use LinkedIn. It's what I say, because LinkedIn is my platform, and it's funny that I say that, because I say I teach people how to be better on LinkedIn, or how to, and then I would say I really don't like to teach people how to use LinkedIn. Right? It's not what I do. I know how to use it, and I have skills and expertise around using the platform, but I'm not a teacher. I like to say I'm not a teacher. I just teach people how to get really clear about their messaging, and they could put that same messaging on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, on their bio, wherever they use it. I just help them with their clarity. And once they have clarity, then we talk about where we're going to put it so that they can expand their visibility.
Okay. All right. So say that to me again, your pitch.
The one of, I teach people how to be visible on, I work with B2B service-based entrepreneurs, and I teach them how to be visible online.
Okay. Yeah. I think this is a little bit clearer than the first one.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So you can certainly expand on that, right? Online meaning, social media, and you can expand on that. Yeah. So if they give you the words clarity and visibility, right? Those are the two words they gave you. You said that there's a third word, right? What was the third word?
Invisible.
Invisible. Okay.
Invisible.
Yeah, visibility. Yeah. So
So
basically,
one
it's
of the other problems that's very consistent through my clients is that they feel like they're not enough. They feel like they cannot compete in this really now noisy world, because they don't have the right credentials or the accolades, or they're still too new, and how are they going to compete with somebody, with a larger audience? And that's also a running theme. So they're lacking confidence, and so we work together on clarity of whom they really serve, what business problem they solve, and the outcome of working with them. So with that clarity breeds confidence. So now they're ready to be visible. They're ready to get on podcasts. They're ready to get on live shows. They're ready to speak with more clarity. So that through that clarity comes the confidence.
Yeah. So you can totally, say that, you work with, B2B solopreneurs pretty much, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So work with B2B solopreneurs on on um, on clarifying the message and give them visibility so that they can so that they can so that they can really build a brand, really. So they can build a brand and attract the kind of audience that they want. Really,
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. Yeah. So it's very close to the ones that you're already using. Yeah. So I would go with that. And then let's hear your story. I know you.
That's the one I really need help with.
I can't wait to hear that. I've been dying to hear that.
My story is long.
That's
So
okay.
give me a framework. So my where I start out with, when I talk usually on a podcast or something, people want to know, how long have I been in entrepreneurship? Or, I've always had a side hustle, even as a little girl, selling Tootsie Rolls, shoveling horse shit because I had horses. I'd make money doing that. Making salsa in the corporate world. I'd make salsa and take it to work and sell it to people. I always had some sort of a side hustle of entrepreneurship. So there's that part of the story that I like to talk about. And then there's also the story that I wasn't happy in corporate America, because I always measured my success to the money I had in my bank account. And that success fell flat when I wasn't successful at work. And so I wasn't being fulfilled, because in sales, there's ups and downs. And there's your team's either killing it and making their quota, or they're not. So I needed to learn how to fulfill myself by finding my why and understanding those gifts that I had that I could share to the world, whether I was going to do them through a not-for-profit or through my business. But I really had to do some soul seeking to find those gifts and understand them. and to detach my self-worth from corporate America, because they can turn a blind eye on you as soon as the pandemic hits, or as soon as an acquisition happens, or as soon as a VP gets fired and a new team comes in. So that all that corporate change needed to not affect me personally or my self-worth. So that's another part of my story and my journey of going on. And then I talk about my passions of always coaching and helping people. Whether right now I coach a lot of women in sales and mentor females in entrepreneurship. That's my passion. I want to serve those people with my gifts and help them become a better version of themselves always. And my running thread through everything I do is inspiration. I want to inspire people to be the best version of themselves every day with whatever I can do. And every morning that I wake up, I ask myself, who can I help today? Is it my kid? Is it myself? Is it my friend? Is it a family member? Like, who can I help today? And what can I do to help my network and my community be better, be a better version of themselves? So that's my background on the different areas that I really like to talk about. And then with personal branding, I talk a lot about working in a very toxic work environment that was completely not in line with my values or who I was as a person. And I made that choice to stay there, because we always have a choice of whether we stay or leave. But how important it is to be happier by first understanding the base of who you are. And so to be able to know yourself, you have to grow yourself. And so I like to talk about that story because I don't want people to stay in toxic work environments and not have passion and hate waking up every morning. So those are some little steps of story. Now, how can we string all of that together and make a beautiful story that just rolls off my tongue?
Well, it takes practice. But storytelling to me is like tools in your toolbox. So the more tools in your toolbox is the better, because then you can take out, okay, today in front of audience C, I'm going to use story A. Tomorrow in front of, client B, I'm going to use story E. You see? So, like a handyman, right? They have different tools in the toolbox so that they can do, the handyman job, because they don't know which tool they're going to need on that particular day. So I look at storytelling that way. So the more stories you have in your toolbox, the better, because you have no idea what kind of client you'll be talking to or what kind of audience you're going to be in front of. So all of your stories actually are valid. So don't think that, oh, I have too many stories, I'm going to only use one and then, put those three away. No, they stay in the box, but you need to have those ready. You need to shine your tools so that when you need to use it, they are sharp, you see? So that's how I look at, stories and storytelling. Now, so you have the story about your self-worth linking to corporate America. And then you have your side hustle story, right? About you always have a side hustle going on. And then you have sort of the toxic environment, corporate culture story that 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 nobody actually, should like. And then what other story? Am I missing one?
Just the story, just more of a self-discovery story about really taking some time to find.
It's a personal development story.
Yes.
So that's kind of the four. Okay. So now, from these four things that you mentioned, right? I haven't quite found the thread yet to tie it together. So if you're okay, doing this live, I would love to ask you some questions.
Absolutely. Let's be vulnerable. That's a goal.
See how we could actually find the common thread there.
And I think I might be better on my feet than in a hot spot. Here we go. There's my So, but that's okay, you guys. This is how it happens. Let's go. What's the first one?
Okay. So tell me about your childhood. What are some of the activities or some of the hobbies or some of the magical moments that you could still remember as a kid?
So we want magical moments. I competed in horseback riding when I was young. I was a cheerleader in elementary, high school, and college. I played a musician. I was a musician in school as well.
And what
Uh,
instrument do you play?
a French horn and flute.
Okay.
Those honor society moved, graduated early to go to school. Those are we have a lot of bad stories, but those are the good stories.
Yeah. Okay. And what was it like growing up? I mean, pretty loving parents and normal childhood, or is there anything particular that stood out for you?
A broken childhood, single mother.
Okay. And uh, what was your dad ever in the picture? Or no?
No, my
Never.
biological father. That jumps up to a recent story. Yes, my
Okay.
biological father wasn't in my life until just 4 years ago.
Okay. So pretty much no father figure, you know? Yeah. Okay. And how was your relationship with your mom? Go-
Perfect.
It was good. Okay.
Yeah.
Are you the only child or you have siblings?
Yes.
You're the only child. Okay. So I would take that you're very close to your mom.
Yes.
And what are some of the values and principles that she has instilled in you?
Um, that would be family and being tenacious. I just remember a story in my head of my mom always telling me that you can do it, babe. You can do it, babe. And so that encouragement, and I've worked with that sometimes of being an overachiever because of that. But there's good in it as well, is that I can do it. Just keep
Right.
trying. You can do it.
Yeah. So what kind of job did you have when you were in corporate America?
Sales, always in sales. So I went to school to be a clinical laboratory scientist and found that working on the bench didn't suit me. So I followed a dream of actually working in sales and acquired the skill sets I needed to become a sales representative. And I became a sales representative in the clinical laboratory space where I graduated with a degree from Arizona State University. So sales in laboratory medicine, and I minored in Spanish, so I managed Latin America. So I used most of my um, educational skills in corporate America.
Very nice. Okay. And how long were you there?
30 years,
30 years. Okay.
just under 30, I guess. I've been out now full time for almost 2 years. So, yeah.
So did you like that job aside from, the corporate culture that you're not a big fan of? The job itself, did you like
I
it?
love coaching and mentoring people to success, and I'm a total deal junkie. So it was selling whatever we could sell. I loved mentoring my teams and mentoring them into success. So that part I loved. And also as a single mother, I just loved the paycheck.
Hmm. Okay.
My
Uh,
passions were only fulfilled in the coaching roles that I had with coaching my teammates or the people that reported to me.
I see, but not so much in the sales part. Sort of in sort of coaching them to be better,
Better salespeople and closing the deals.
but not
Yes.
so much in the selling itself. Am I correct?
No, it's all a part of it. The
Okay.
the sales, the whole part of sales is who I
Okay.
am. Yes.
Okay. So what made you want to jump into entrepreneurship?
The thrill of creating something myself and watching that baby grow into something more. So that I'm very creative. My mind doesn't stop. So being able to create something that's my own, and my mindset was if I can make multi millions for someone else, why can't I do it for myself?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because my children would appreciate it, but I'm working for men that don't appreciate what I do or anything, you know. We'll just call it a male dominated society.
Right. So when you were young competing, were you super competitive or you were just kind of doing it more for fun?
I would say I'm competitive.
Competitive. Okay.
Yes.
So sort of type A from early on, right? And that's okay. We can own that.
Yes.
Not a bad thing.
Yes. For sure.
Okay. And all right. So now I'm seeing something. Uh,
Yes, competing in grades too. Like, am, okay, am I number three? Am I number two? Like, what number am I in? You know, for
right.
sure, everything competitive.
Yeah. Okay. Um, what about uh, so before you started working when you were in high school, you said that you were always selling something on the side. Did you realize that you loved coaching and working with people back then?
Let me think. You know, I didn't have any siblings, so I didn't have a younger child to take care of or to help. Um, I don't know. I don't think that as a child I took on maybe. I also was a competitive baton twirler. And I believe as a child, I would teach some of the younger kids. I would have that goal to teach and train them a little bit. Maybe as, you know, a varsity cheerleader, we helped the JV team with things, but no camp counselor or no academic mentor, nothing like that.
Okay. So the line your mom always said was, "You can do it," right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. All right. So I think your story is gonna look something like this.
It's being recorded, so I don't have to take notes.
Yeah, you don't have to take notes. Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Um, I was raised by a single mom. My dad was never in the picture. And as far back as I could remember, my mom always said to me, "You can do it, babe. You can do it." So all my life, I have been doing it. You know, I was doing horse racing, you know, I was cheerleader, whatever you can. This is the part where you can name all your, you know, children activities, right? All your activities. I was participating, you know, winning. I was pretty competitive. But at the end of the day, I know I can do it because my mom told me I could do it. So fast forward, I completely utilized my education, you know, in clinical laboratory work, plus my Spanish language skills, and I got a job in corporate America uh, doing that. But very shortly, I realized I actually did not like, you know, being in the lab as much. So I switched over to the selling side, and I became a sales leader for the company for almost 30 years. And the part I truly enjoyed most from that was the ability to work with my team, to motivate them, to coach them, to motivate them, to inspire them to be a better version of themselves every single day and apply that same principle on sales. So that's why we were unstoppable, you know. And this is where you can say, okay, we helped this company raise sales, you know, up to whatever percentage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And but at the end of the day, you know, after a long time, I realized that although I love working with people and love motivating people, like, you know, my mom has been motivating me my whole life, you know, the same mantra, you can do it. This corporate culture was starting to get to me. So after almost 30 years, I decided to quit because I found myself tying my self worth to the results that I was having with the company, and I didn't like that because I realized that my self worth it's my self worth, and it should be defined by me, not by a job that I was having at a company. So fast forward 2 years ago, right? 2 years ago?
Yes.
Yeah, so fast forward 2 years ago, I decided to take the same mantra, I can do it, and opened up my own business. And here I am, using the same skill set that I've been using for more than 30 years, applying the same competitiveness, and using that to help businesswomen who are starting the business or in the early stage of running the business to be a better version of themselves, to have a clearer message, more visibility, and be a better version of themselves so their self worth is not tied to anything outside of themselves. And they can attract the kind of clients they want to attract and make the business work. Something like that.
Just something like that. That's beautiful. That's
How's that?
beautiful. That's great.
Yeah. So to me, that's your story.
Yes. Yes. And there it really does depend on who you speak to. The whole story that this sidetrack. When I knew that the father that my mom had married left, and I knew that he wasn't my real father, there was always a search for my dad. Always, 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 always. And I was raised white, and once the father that my mom had, the man that my mom had married, died, I found my real father, who was a shaman on an Indian reservation in Mexico.
Wow.
Yes, and that single child, that only child that was so lonely all the time, always overachieving to be better, to be noticed, to have community and connection, has 9 siblings.
Wow.
Yes. So that part of my story is interesting as well, right? To wander the world, find love, have a love of Europe, have a love of Mexico, to find that those are my roots, and that
Mm.
my family is only uh, 40 minutes across the border from where I am in San Diego, but didn't know it before. So that's an interesting part of who I am today as
Oh,
well.
absolutely. I'm so glad that you were able to find them because I feel like without that piece, you're not going to be able to truly feel your self worth
Mm-hmm.
because it always feels like a part of you is missing because you never met your dad, right? But now that you finally found him, in a way, you have a chance to feel whole, and I think
Yes.
that's very key. And for all the audiences, all the audience that's listening right now, so that whole sometimes is not a father figure, right? That whole could be anything. I mean, we all have it, but until you realize that's that's affecting you somehow on the inside. Once you start realizing, oh, I have a hole, I want to feel it, and then you start finding the thing that can fill your hole, whether it's father figure, whether it's a different job, whether it's a different hobby. I mean, whatever that thing is, you can start truly feeling more empowered on the inside, and that will also help your business grow.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Right? It's like things click, and it's just so happy and amazing to be on the story and the path that I'm on right now.
Right.
And it's really great. So thanks, ancestry.com. It's a little commercial to you. You should actually sponsor our show.
Yeah.
Yes.
I want to see, do we have any questions from the audience?
Nobody's chimed in. It's really interesting. There's people watching. You guys, we see you out there. Nobody's asked any questions yet.
Okay. All right. I just want to make sure, if we have any questions, I want to be able to answer them before, we finish the show. Okay. So now you know how brand stories are put together. Okay. And we sort of dived in a little bit on the elevator pitch. And then what else? What else should we talk about next?
Well, let's say that somebody is watching, because most of my audience are sales professionals. Let's talk about how a sales rep, we have maybe 10 minutes, how they could weave in their personal brand story with the corporate story as a differentiator, because in the field I worked in the past, it was a commoditized field, and so the only thing I had that was different was myself, right? Oh, the person could show up, maybe somebody had a bigger bag of tricks, or they could pay for a larger lunch or something like that. But that I learned how to differentiate myself to lead with my own personal brand. What are some tips that you have for creating that story and combining those two?
Oh, totally.
Combining.
I just did a I just did a 2-day training session for a PR firm. So the owner came to me. She said, "Well, I have a bunch of employees, but I noticed that when I send my people out to the networking events, because they had their elevator pitch, drill down, right? So the company elevator pitch. So she said, when I send them out, they all sound the same if I send more than one person because they all got to pitch about the company, but I don't like it because, I want them to be able to say something a little bit different from each other so they don't sound exactly the same because otherwise people think, oh, wait, did I just talk to somebody over there?
Yeah,
And I get,
a bunch of little minions running
oh,
around.
exactly, and
Yes.
okay, no problem, that's easy. So what I did with them was, I actually got a chance to, work with. So she doesn't have like hundreds of employees, so that makes it a little bit easier. So I got to work with each employee and then help them figure out what their personal story is, and then tying that personal story into the overall elevator pitch the company has, so that when they talk, they don't sound exactly the same. Now, what can go into the personal story? For example, why did you apply to do that job in the first place, right? Why did you like that job? What do you like about that job? Why are you there? What are you continuing? What are you continually? What do you enjoy? On a continual basis about that job, right? Because if you don't like it, you could just quit the next day, right? So there's a reason
Yes.
why you're still there, because there's still part of it that you're still loving and enjoying, right? So they can talk about that, and they can also talk about the impact the job has on their lives. Like, okay, I've been here 20 years, and to tell you the truth, without this job, I don't know where I'll be. Or yeah, I like you, right? Like your background, right? I was able to marry what I learned from my degree and using my Spanish language skills to land a perfect job at the time, right? Something like that. So you all have a personal reason why you want to get that job and stay at that job. So I would encourage you to add that to your personal story and use that, on top of whatever company pitch that you have been using to pitch about the company. How's
And
that?
I would say that's so effective because I'm also a judge for women in sales competition, which happens nationally. And when the finalists come to us with the board that's judging, each of those women has a story about why they're doing what they're doing. It goes back to Simon Sinek, find your why.
Right,
And the job is a way I get to fulfill this why.
right. Absolutely.
Maybe it's a woman who lost someone to breast cancer and now they're selling pharmaceuticals for breast cancer, or logistics, and they're helping other women in logistics. They're there to mentor other people and to break those barriers down where it was a male dominated society. Whatever their why is, uh, as it's just what everybody speaks about, it connects you more emotionally to the person that's delivering the story, and then you become one of their fans. You want to help them be successful. So I'm telling you the end product of somebody doing that and telling their story. And I'm certain when I was selling that my story went through. I went to school and I saw this lady as a sales rep and I wanted to be that person. Now I am that person and it's my passion. But, totally weaving the story about why the company's different, why you, as the expert that has the job, feel the company's different,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
right? That's putting your self worth into your job
totally. Yeah.
and to your person. So I would encourage everybody, and as would Melissa. So, can people work with you? Do you have groups? Do you only work with the businesses? You did say that, like, if there's an audience full of salespeople or a corporation that wants to hire you, how is the best place that they would get in touch with you? I did put your in the show notes. You can see
Okay.
her Instagram, her Facebook. She's as a speaker on this event, so go to the Facebook live event and you can find the different ways to interact with Melissa. Do you have any upcoming events?
I don't have any upcoming events in the next couple of weeks, but I do a lot of public speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot of training. I help, businesses figure out, the brand story, either just the brand story or, or every time they have to launch a new product or a new service, or it doesn't even have to be new sometimes, right? They just want a better story and to use
Yes.
the story to connect, with the audience. Yeah, so I geek out on stories every single day. I love what I do. Like I said, I had no idea that I would be a storyteller. If you asked me when I was young, okay, what are you gonna do? I would not have picked this. But life has its way of directing us. So if you just have to keep saying yes, I guess. So I kept saying yes, and then I ended up, being here, and I love it. So it's very easy to find me. My name has two L's. A lot of people
Yes. Don't mess that up, everyone.
just think it's one L. So my name has two L's. So it's Melissatong. And my company is called Duck Punk.
And that was a fun story. How many minutes do we have? Why don't you tell us that short story about the name Duck
Yeah,
Punk? Because I just love the name.
there is definitely a story behind Duck Punk. So back in 2000, I was trying to find a name for my company, and I was at this park, and the park has a lake. I was feeding all the ducks with breadcrumbs. There was this one duck who had a mohawk, just like my logo. But back then in 2000, our phones didn't have a camera on it yet, so I couldn't really take a picture. So as I was walking away after a good 45 minutes, he was still charged over to get to the food. So I kept looking at him thinking, wow, you've been eating the whole time. How much more can you eat? All the other ducks were like, oh, I'm full, I'm hanging out, I cannot be bothered. And he was still, every time as I was walking away, I would throw one last thing in there and he would still get to the food. So that night I went home and I thought, wow, okay, I couldn't really shake that image off my head. So I started playing with the word punk rock, punk
I
duck,
was just raising that so people could see your little duck.
Mohawk,
He's so
Punk
cute.
Duck, Mohawk. And then 6 weeks later, I named my company Duck Punk. Now, but that was the justification at the time, okay? Because I had this image in my head, and also because my last name is Tong, so by alphabetical order, I'm always on the very last or second last page. So I thought if I have a business name, I want it to be, even if it's not on the front page, not as, not on the very last page. So that was my justification at the time, without knowing that, it actually had a much deeper meaning years later. So as a female entrepreneur, a woman of color, working in advertising and entertainment, because I also make movies and documentaries, I realized that every time I jump through a hurdle, I have to remind myself to never give up and to be like him, to go after what I want. So he became my inspiration. So that's my duck punk story.
That is a great story. Another story by Melissa Tong. Of Duck. Come on, everybody has to remember Duck Punk. I can see
Exactly.
him coming to life, and doing a
Right.
little
Yeah.
punk rock dance or
Yeah.
something.
Hmm.
You're in animation. You're in that field. You could make him come to life if you needed to.
Yeah, I actually do have an animated version of that, but it's not on my website right now because some people complain that it takes a little long to get to the main.
Oh, to load.
So
Oh
I took
well.
it off. But who knows? Maybe I'll bring it back sometime. I
My little woman who's down in the show. She's a llama corn, and she is named Frida after Frida Kahlo. And so she has an inspiring story as well, is that people always want to become this uh, person potentially that they can't be. They're just chasing, right? They're chasing this person. So I made her this fictional llama corn. And her name is Frida because she's a bit of a rebel. And she comes to life as well in some of my videos. If you look at my YouTube videos, she's very cute and comes to life. So that's my Frida Kahlo llama inspirational story. So you guys, we're going to wrap the show. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you loved seeing me vulnerable in the hot seat and learning more about how to incorporate my story, which, has been there. And I do change it up, but I'm very appreciative to Melissa. I'll go back and I'll watch the replay of the show, which you guys can find on Facebook, on Twitter, on Twitch, on LinkedIn, and on YouTube, where we will reposition the show, pull out those fabulous quotes that Melissa said, and we'll put them up and share them for everybody in the future. So you can always find Melissa. Her contact information will be in the show notes. Duckpunk.com. Don't forget it.
No, actually,
.net. .net. I'm a net as well, but the net helps. A duck and the net. You can help remember. Yeah. Okay, so thanks, you guys. Stay on, Melissa. We will end the stream. Everybody have a fabulous weekend, and I will catch you in Paris next week. Take care.
Bye.